Salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. And it is good to have you here today. Now, who we do not have here with us today is Aaron Cummings. Now, you guys know Aaron comes in on Thursdays normally. However, and I can't say what it is specifically she is doing, but Aaron is off filming something. And hopefully the next time she's in here, probably next week, Aaron will be able to tell you herself. I cannot divulge it, but I'm hoping Aaron will be able to tell you herself what she is filming today and for the next week or so. Anyway, so I'll leave that to you. So for today, it is you and me and all this warm, gooey movie news that we get to wrap ourselves up in. Anyway, guys, good to have you here today, and here's how today's show is going to go. We have a number of topics to talk about here today, so we're going to spend the first half of the show taking these predetermined topics. We're going to discuss those. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you want to fire in a live comment, question, observation, whatever, simply look in the description of the video. You'll see a tip link. Just click on it manually, or you can enter it in at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show if it's, appropriate for the show. And of course, by sending in those tips, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys very, very much for that support. Okay. Before we get into our main topics, let's do one off the top that just kind of came out this morning, and that is this. All the way back at the last D23 that happened, that now feels like years ago, one of the things that they were really hyping was the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt movie, Jungle Cruise. Now, they showed a number of promo spots. I didn't think it looked great, but I love the chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. I thought the chemistry that these two individuals had on the show the chemistry that these two had was the one main driving factor that really kind of propelled me to having kind of any sort of interest in the movie. It looked all right, but then again, there are lots of trailers and stuff that have only looked mediocre or okay that I've ended up loving the movies to, right? That happens all the time. But still. Now, of course, Jungle Cruise was supposed to have been in theaters a long time ago. The pandemic hit. This was just one other of the movies that we've been waiting for to find out its fate. And now this morning, we know it's going to happen. And it doesn't look great. What the news that came out today is simply this. Jungle Cruise now has a release date, and I believe it's June 30th. I'll double check this, but I believe it's June 30th. July 30th. Sorry, forgive me. I was a month off there. July 30th is when the movie is coming out. However, it doesn't appear that Disney actually has a lot of faith in this movie, because instead of it getting, it's a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, you figure you're going to get some big box office from it. They must not believe this film is all that good, because instead of just going theatrical, they're going to try to parlay this into another Disney Plus play, and it's going to come out in theaters and on Disney Plus Premiere at the same time. Now, Disney Plus Premiere means, for those of you who don't know, that you can go and watch the movie on Disney Plus if you're a Disney Plus subscriber. So you got to be paying your subscription fees for Disney Plus. And on top of that, you also need to pay an additional $30. So you got to be, number one, a Disney Plus subscriber. You got to be paying your subscription. And then as a paying subscriber, you must also pay an additional $30 to watch it there. To me, I'll just be honest with you. To me, this move right now screams, we don't believe in this movie. To me, that's what Disney just did. Disney just got on top of Pride Rock, where little Simba was held up. And, Bob Chapek, CEO of Disney, basically just yelled out to the world, this movie sucks. We don't believe in it. So we're going to try to get as much out of this as we can. So we're also going to try to make it a push for a Disney Plus at-home thing because we don't think the movie's going to be reviewed well. We don't think the word of mouth is going to be good. We don't believe in this movie. Much like kind of what happened with Mulan. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, John, when they announced that they were doing the Black Widow thing the way they are, you didn't feel that same way. True, and I still don't. Because when they made the announcements about Black Widow and they made the decision to pull the trigger to make Black Widow theatrical and on Disney Plus, there was still a lot of questions in the air about the recovery from the pandemic and about how well can things do theatrically. We've seen that they can do really well with Kong versus Godzilla. Mortal Kombat also didn't do bad, but we're also seeing other properties not doing gangbusters. The one I just saw, the Guy Ritchie, Jason Statham movie, Wrath of Man, really good movie, by the way. Didn't exactly blow the doors off the box office, but it is what it is. And there was still a lot of doubt. Now we're seeing the recovery, and they're talking about nearly in August, and they still decide to do this. And look, I might be dead wrong, right? I mean, listen, I thought, Up was going to be one of Pixar's first really flop of a movies. And it ended up being one of my favorite Pixar films of all time. I thought Harley Quinn, the animated show, was going to be yet another piece of DC animated garbage. But I absolutely am in love with that show. And maybe I'll go see Jungle Cruise, and maybe it'll be like my favorite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie of all time, right? Maybe. We haven't seen the movie yet. I can't say it's good. I can't say it's bad. But from where I'm sitting, my interpretation of this right now, and my interpretation may be bang on the money, or it may be way off. We'll find out once we see the movie. But my interpretation of it right now is this move right now, this is screaming, we don't believe in this movie. We don't think people are going to like this movie. And they are right now just desperately trying to find a way to mitigate what they are expecting to be not so positive word of mouth and not so positive reviews. And they're trying to find ways to mitigate that by finding other ways to benefit from it. So they're dumping it onto Disney Plus with this Premier Access BS. Be a paying member to Disney Plus. Also give us another $30. So wait a minute, let me get this straight. By paying you my monthly subscription fee, what I am doing is buying the privilege of giving you more money to watch one movie. Anyway, I know you guys know when it comes to the Premier Access thing, I still haven't really kind of figured out how I feel about it. Some days I feel very optimistic about it. Hey, it's another revenue stream. It offers some possibilities sometimes. And then there are other days like today, I'm going to tell you what, guys, I just rolled out of the wrong side of the bed today. I was telling my wife earlier, I said, you know what? I don't know what my problem is today. I'm in a bad mood. I don't know what it is. Nothing bad has happened today. I'm just in a bad mood. So maybe that's it. But I'm still trying to figure out kind of how I feel about this whole Disney Premier Access thing. Because there are some days I feel kind of positively about it. And there are some days where I just feel like, really? So my reward for being a monthly subscriber and giving you money every month, my reward is that you want me to give you more money? I don't know. I feel kind of weirdly about it. But I will say this. Maybe if I thought all the early looks at Jungle Cruise looked great, maybe I would feel differently. Like if I had been buzzing about Jungle Cruise, because you guys know I'm a big Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan. I really like The Rock, and I really like Emily Blunt. But you also know, if you've watched my show, that I have not been extremely excited for Jungle Cruise. And maybe if I had been, maybe I would look at this a little differently. Maybe part of the fact that I've been looking at Jungle Cruise and thinking, I don't know which way this thing's going to go. Because part of it just kind of looks very bad formulaic. Some of it looks like it could be charming. Like I said, the dynamic between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, their chemistry is great on screen. But I don't know. And so feeling that way about it, when I now see this news, right, I just go, yeah, to me, this is Disney screaming that they don't believe in this. Because remember, I kind of felt that same way about Mulan. Even though, I mean, the pandemic was a huge factor of that. Absolutely it was. But if you guys remember, I was saying, like, I don't know, like this move, it kind of feels like maybe they don't believe so much in Mulan. And as it turns out, the movie was actually not all that good. I didn't think Mulan, what it was as utterly terrible as some other people made it out to be. I didn't think it was all that bad, but I also didn't think it was all that good. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm smelling the same stink in the air. I'm sniffing as loud as I can so you can hear it in the mic. I sound like a cokehead now. Anyway, I that same stench that I smelt on the Mulan move, I'm starting to get that same scent in the air over Jungle Cruise. And I don't know, listen, the day August 1st may come, and we have all just watched Jungle Cruise, and maybe I'll be like, oh my God, they did it again. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Another big hit for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I hope I do. I'm just saying right now, this feels to me like a desperation move to mitigate what they know is going to be poor reception of this movie. That's just me guessing. Hopefully I'm wrong. I love these types of movies. I love these actors. We'll see how it turns out. But for me, this is Disney yelling at us, we don't believe in this. Our movie sucks. That's kind of what I feel like Disney is screaming right now. And maybe we're dead wrong. Hopefully we are. Let's see how it turns out, because you guys know I'm a fan, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this move? Jump on down into the comment section below and let me know. Do you feel like, hey, no, listen, this could be fantastic. Like, look, this is offers options, and maybe this is a sign of confidence. Or maybe you're as jaded as me today. Maybe you're just in a stinking bad mood like me today, and you're thinking, this looks like it stinks like Mulan. I don't know. How do you guys feel? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you think should be a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's totally free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Jackson M, who writes, good morning, John and Aaron. Aaron is obviously not here today, unfortunately. I was already looking forward to the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard since I loved the first movie, and the teaser trailer was pretty good. They just put out a new full trailer, and I thought it was great. I had no idea Morgan Freeman was in it. Did you see the trailer yet? And if so, what did you guys think? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Jackson. And yeah, listen, I really enjoyed the first Hitman's Bodyguard. You guys know I love Ryan Reynolds. He's one of my absolute favorite movie stars. Good Canadian kid, of course. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson is Samuel L. Jackson. Come on. You can't go wrong. And their on-screen, kind of buddy cop formula in the first one quite worked. They had the second one coming out, and I thought the first trailer was solid. The first teaser, you guys remember me and Rob were reviewing that one. But now a brand new trailer has just come out. A brand new one has just come out. This comes to us from the folks over at Dark Horizons who write, Lionsgate has premiered the second trailer for the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, the follow-up to the Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson-led 2017 action comedy, The Hitman's Bodyguard. The pair team up with Salma Hayek, who of course did appear in the first one as well, reprising her role as Jackson's con artist wife on a mission along the Amalfi Coast. Antonio Banderas plays the villain. I'm dying to see that, by the way. Antonio Banderas plays the villain, while Morgan Freeman, Frank Grillo, love seeing him, Tom Hopper, Carolyn Goodall, and Richard E. Grant, which is one of Robert's favorite movie stars, co-star. Patrick Hughes directs this sequel to the surprise $180 million worldwide hit, with the new entry slated to hit cinemas on June 16th. All right. So the new trailer comes out, and not the best trailer of the year. Very good, though. This was very good. But did any of you guys notice this? Did this jump out to any of you? They do something in this trailer, and I want to see if you guys in the live chat throw into the live chat, you guys watching live, if you guys know what I'm about to say. But they did something in this trailer that jumped out at me right away that I have not seen in a trailer in a long time. And Richard in the live chat just nailed it. They had the voiceover guy in the trailer. They did the whole "in a world," although they didn't use the words "in a world." But if you guys have seen my documentary, plug. If you guys have seen my documentary, Movie Trailers, A Love Story, available now worldwide at vimeo.com/on-demand/movie trailers, or if you live in the US or the UK, it's available on Amazon Prime at Movie Trailers, A Love Story. Just search it. You can find it there. Plug. Okay, anyway, back to this. But if you guys have seen my documentary, you know, that obviously was something that was a huge part of movie trailers for a very long time. In a world. He was a cop on the south side of San Francisco. A girl, a boy, and their magical journey to Featherland. I just made that up. I don't know. But that is something that disappeared a while ago. We do not hear that very much. We don't hear that. And so when I went in and I hit play to watch this trailer, and like one of the first things that I absolutely hear is, "He was a bodyguard." I don't remember exactly what it is he said, but I'm like, what the hell? I haven't heard that in a while. Anyway, I'm getting too hung up on this fact that they used a narrator's voice, but still, I haven't heard that in a while. Anyway, trailer looks great. Antonio Banderas. I love Antonio Banderas. So seeing him as a villain in this. One weird thing about the trailer was you don't see one glimpse of Morgan Freeman in the entire trailer. Not a single glimpse of Morgan Freeman in the entire trailer until they go, "And Morgan Freeman." And like, wait, what? They just kind of threw that in there last second, which, well, that's fine. Look, does this look just like the first one? Yes. Does this look like Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds? Yes. Does this look like Samuel L. Jackson just being Samuel L. Jackson? Yes. But is any of that bad? And I contend to you, my friends, I don't think any of that is bad. I think it looks like it's going to be fun. I was grinning watching the trailer. I think it's solid, so sign me up. I'm excited for the Hitman's bodyguard's wife. Question is for you guys, or the Hitman's wife's bodyguard. That's it. Question is for you guys. What did you think about this trailer? In a world. What did you guys think about it? Jump on down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Ryan. And Ryan writes, "Hey, John and crew. James Gunn has now stated on Twitter that the upcoming Peacemaker series will be getting a season 2. Actually, no, he didn't. But anyway, will be getting a season 2, and that certain major character introductions are being saved specifically for this reason. I hope I have my facts right there. Thoughts? Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And listen, I got to say, it was surprising to me. That we heard they were doing a spin-off series for the Peacemaker character. That's going to obviously be appearing in the upcoming James Gunn directed Suicide Squad movie. Was not expecting to hear that they were going to do a spin-off TV series for HBO Max. And if they did, I honestly didn't think it would be the Peacemaker character. Now, look, I'm a little bit torn on John Cena. In some ways, I think this dude has really developed well with his comedic timing. I think he does really well. When he is a supporting character, when John Cena is a supporting comedic character, I find he fires on all cylinders, and he can be very, very funny and very, very good and a real asset to any movie they have him in. John Cena as a lead has been problematic. So you go back to that comedy he did, Blockers. Remember that? The one with the cock blockers, but it was short. Just they shortened it up to just Blockers. Not a bad little movie. But it showed that he wasn't yet ready to carry a film, to be the main guy of a film. Not that he can't get there, and not that he might not be there now. I'm just saying, the last time we really had a chance to get a sample size and a taste of John Cena trying to lead something and be the main focus guy, to me, it showed that he wasn't quite ready for it. So I wonder how he's going to do as the main villain in Fast 9, although I am very curious to see him do it, to be honest with you. But then doing Peacemaker as well. Anyway, still, I got to admit, from the trailers I've seen from Suicide Squad and the bits of footage of Peacemaker we've had, I mean, I'm down. Look, that one thing they had of him in the trailer was like, I want nothing more than peace. I'm paraphrasing here. I want peace more than anything else. And if I have to kill every man, woman, and child to get it, I will. I'm like, that's just such a great line. And I thought he actually delivered it really well. So I am down for the Peacemaker series. I'm looking forward. And James Gunn's directing it. So how bad can it be, right? If James Gunn's directing it, I'm on board. Automatic. If James Gunn's doing it, sign me up. I just assume it's going to be really good. So what happened was, where's all this talk saying that they've confirmed, as we're looking here on Game Revolution, Suicide Squad spinoff Peacemaker already confirmed for season 2. Okay, let me tell you this right now. No, it's not. It may be at some point. It very well could be. I hope it will be. I'm sure they're talking about it. But as of right now, it's not confirmed as far as I can tell. Because here's the thing. This is where all this is coming from, all right? James Gunn, and let me see if I can blow up on this here. James Gunn was asked by somebody on Twitter, and James is obviously very, very active on Twitter. They asked, where are all the characters, were there, the question, Mr. Venom asked, were there characters, and I don't know why this just kind of blew up. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. Let me get back over here. Were there any characters you wanted to include in Peacemaker, but ended up cutting? To which James Gunn said, yes, saving someone for season 2. All right. Were there any characters you wanted to include in Peacemaker, but you ended up cutting? To which he replies, yes, I'm saving some for season 2. That in and of itself does not definitively mean a Peacemaker season 2 has been greenlit. All right. That does not in and of itself definitively mean that Peacekeeper 2 has been greenlit. Peacekeeper season 2 has been greenlit. All that tells me definitively is that James Gunn, in making Peacekeeper, said to himself wisely, I don't want to blow my entire proverbial load on season 1. In the event that we get a season 2, because obviously you make these things hoping you get a season 2. In the event we get season 2, I want to hold something back that we can have some really good fun with in season 2. To me, James Gunn saying, yeah, I saved something back for season 2, that was not confirmation that we are getting season 2. I don't even think James Gunn knows right now if definitively they're getting season 2 or not. Did I keep saying Peacekeeper? Peacemaker. Sorry about that, guys. It doesn't mean definitively we are getting a Peacemaker season 2. I don't even think he does. I don't even think a lot of people in Warner Brothers are 100% until they see what kind of reaction they get, or until they see the completed project themselves before it starts airing and doing that. My interpretation of this is simply that James Gunn said, look, I don't want to blow my whole load. I did hold something back for season 2, but I don't think that's them confirming. So what happens is James Gunn says something like that, and everybody starts running around. It's confirmed, season 2. It's like, hold your horses. What it does tell me, though, here's what I do get from this, though. What it does tell me is that unlike a couple of the Marvel series, which are specifically being made as limited series, we already know that a couple of them were like, there's not going to be a WandaVision season 2. They've been clear about that. It's a limited series. It's a one-time thing. However many, what was it, 9 episodes? That's it. What James Gunn's comments do tell me is that, yeah, this could very well be a ongoing series. That it wasn't made with the specific directive of one season, one time only. This is a limited series. They didn't approach Peacemaker as this is a limited series. So that says something to us. So if this thing turns out to be good, and if they have some success with it, I think now we know we can expect a season 2. I'm just saying I don't think it's official quite yet. And listen, again, sign me up. If this Peacemaker character can come across nearly as good as he in the entirety of Suicide Squad, and obviously in the entirety of Peacemaker season 1, then I'm all for it. Because I think he's come across really well in those trailers. Or maybe he'll suck. I don't know. We'll have to see. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? At the very least, what we do know is that they're not making Peacemaker as just a limited series. They are opening the door for more seasons. Maybe you interpreted James Gunn's words as saying, yes, definitively, it's confirmed we're doing season 2. I don't interpret it that way yet. What do you guys think? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by James. And James writes, "Hi, John. I just recently seen that both Shang-Chi and the Eternals may not be approved for release in China. This is due to potential stereotypes in Shang-Chi and a negative reaction to, and a negative reaction to comments from Chloe Zhao. How do you think this will affect Marvel Studios long term, as China is a huge market, even if they only receive around 25% of the box office?" Okay, thanks a lot for sending that in, James. And yes, listen, we have known for a while that, let's back up even a little bit more. Every year, China only allows a set limited number of American films to open in China. It's not like other countries in the world where, oh yeah, if you make a movie in America, you can play in any country you want. You can play it anywhere you want. China has more of a more controlled environment than that. They have rules where only X number of films every year from America are even allowed to play there. That, by definition, means the vast majority of movies that get produced every year do not get to play in China. That's just default, all right? So you have a chance of getting your American-made film in China, but if the spots fill up or whatever their reasons are, the likelihood is if you make a movie in America, it will not get to play in China. All right. That's just the default. But some every year do. Some do. Obviously, being the second biggest movie market in the world, Marvel is very keen on having their films, which are big box office movies, to play in China. Now, granted, China being the second biggest box office market in the world is mitigated by the fact, whereas in North America, the studios get to keep about 2/3 of the box office that gets made. In China, if I understand it properly, studios only get to keep about 25% of the box office. So yes, it's the second biggest box office market in the world, but the amount of box office that the studio gets to keep out of China is drastically smaller than it is in other countries around the world. So it mitigates itself a little bit, right? Anyway, a couple of films that have really been on the radar as far as us movie fans go and talking about what are their chances of getting into China are two of Marvel's upcoming films. One is The Eternals and one is Shang-Chi, starring Simu Liu, who was born in China, but is a good Canadian kid, by the way. One of the stars of Kim's Convenience. I love that show. Good Canadian show. Anyway, I can get sidetracked on that for a while. Now, with the Eternals thing, the problem has been more obvious. Director Chloe Zhao, who is the reigning, defending best director in the world. She won best director. She was anointed, I should say, best director in the world this year by the Directors Guild of America and by the Academy. She won best director at those, and her film Nomadland, which is amazing, won best picture at the Asterix Academy Awards this year. Anyway, Chloe Zhao, who's Chinese, made some really harsh comments. Whether they were deserved or not, I'll leave that up to you to decide. But she has spoken very critically of China and the Chinese government and things like that, which did put things, put a giant question mark over whether or not her movie Eternals was going to be able to play in China. As a matter of fact, you know, they pretty much wiped out any news coverage of her win at the Academy Awards. They pretty much censored out any news of that in China. They didn't even let anybody in China talk about it, the fact that she won. So now, granted, she's not in the movie, right? It's not like if people go to watch Eternals in China that they will see Chloe Zhao. You're not going to see her. She's the director of the film, but still, that has cast a very, very big doubt over whether or not an Eternals was ever going to get to play there. But there's another film, which is Shang-Chi. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Did anybody talk badly about China? Is that the problem here? The problem with this one, it seems to be more of a perception problem. There is a perception problem that they are guessing that China and the Chinese people are not going to be portrayed in a favorable way. As a matter of fact, they're even writing about it on their local social media. This comes to us from Variety, who writes, this week, many Weibo users echoed this sentiment. So, you change the name and it's not Fu Manchu anymore. The Mandarin is inherently a character that blackens the image of the Chinese people, one viewer wrote. I hope China Film and the censorship authorities won't be bought out by this. This kind of film is not worthy of coming to China to make money off of us while calling us fools. Now, there's a couple of interesting things about that I want to just give some of my own personal commentary on. All right. First of all, I find everybody is very sensitive when it comes to portrayal of whatever their heritage background is, right? Like, I'll speak as an Italian. I'm a little confounded sometimes because whenever inevitably there is a villain in a movie or a show, or a mobster in a movie or a show that is portrayed as being Italian, I see a bunch of my fellow Italians get their knickers in a twist and going, you're negatively stereotyping Italians. And I'm like, no, wait a minute, time out. The hero in that movie or TV show was also Italian. The good people of the town in that thing were also Italian. And yes, a bad guy happened to be Italian. They were not saying inherently all Italians are mobsters and criminals and villains. But a lot of Italians, Canadians get sensitive. You know, they didn't portray Canadians in the right way, and Canadians get sensitive. Oh, don't even get me started with Americans. Americans do this, so don't go pointing at other guys. Americans do this as badly as anybody else. What is that movie saying? Americans are bad? No, they're just saying that the bad guy in this movie happened to be American, but you know, the heroes were also American. And I find that, and true, it looks like China and Chinese people are not immune to that. Chinese people are not immune to that either. It's like, yeah, okay, the villain, the Mandarin, is the bad guy, but so is the hero. So I mean, I don't know. But there seems to be some kind of concern in China about the portrayal of China and the Chinese culture and Chinese people and stuff like that. And what I really don't understand, and this is true of Italians, Canadians, Americans, Jamaicans, anybody, is people getting all upset and getting their gitch in a twist over a movie they haven't even seen yet. We do it all the time. And it seems like this is a really bad trait in movie fans, regardless if they're Canadian, American, Jamaican, or Chinese. We get all riled up over a movie we haven't even seen yet because of how we assume the movie is going to portray X person or X character or whatever. And it seems like, yeah, everybody gets wound up about that. And come on, admit it, guys. Everybody does that. We all get kind of wound up by things we think are going to be in a movie, whether or not we've seen the movie yet or not. We all do it. It's not a particularly attractive trait of us movie fans, but it is something that we do sometimes. Anyway, so that has brought up a question. Now, what has happened with this particular situation is that and I'm seeing some people, let's be clear about this. I'm seeing some people say things like, how do we put this? I'm seeing some people saying that, oh, you know, they, I want to make sure I word this right. But there are some outlets reporting, and there's some people online and on social media saying things like China has banned Eternals and Shang-Chi. And that is not the case. At least not yet. Here's what has happened. Now, this comes to us again from Variety, who writes, a recent Chinese state media report has added to the rumors that two major Marvel superhero films, Eternals and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, may not be approved. May not be approved for release in China. In a report on the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 4 films, the CCTV6 China Movie Channel aired a list of the U.S. release dates for 8 of the 10 scheduled titles, but conspicuously left out Eternals and Shang-Chi after Black Widow, which hits in the U.S. on July 9th, and they are the next two MCU films lined up releasing in North America on September 3rd and on November 5th, respectively. So basically what's happened is that this Chinese outlet has reported 8 of the 10 spots, but they did not mention Eternals or Shang-Chi, which means they still could. And now look, China is its own country. They can decide what they want to play in their country and what they don't. There's all that. And again, it's important to understand this. China only lets certain number of films in their country every year that come from the US. So if they don't let in Shang-Chi, or if they don't let in Eternals, I suppose we shouldn't really be all that completely surprised. The question is, though, how concerned and how wrapped up should Disney be about this? Should Disney devote a lot of worry and a lot of concern and a lot of effort about getting their films in the Chinese market? Films like Eternals. Should they worry about it too terribly much? On the one hand, and I know everybody likes to draw a line in the sand, but let's try to take a step back and look at it from both sides for a second. All right, everybody take a deep breath and let's proceed here. Disney is a business, and you're not in business for fun. You're in business to make money, and you make decisions to reach as big of a market as you can, to make as much money as you can for your products. That's what businesses do. China does represent a big, potentially big part of the pie, even though they keep most of it. But China does represent a lot of potential consumers. There is a lot of potential to make big money out of China, as they and other studios have done in the past. So should Disney care if their films get played in China? You're an idiot if you don't think that they should care. Of course they should care. You have zero business acumen if you don't believe for a second that Disney should care if their products have access to a massive marketplace like China. Of course they should care, and of course that should be a part of their thinking process. You're just no good at business if you don't agree. But how much should they care? To what degree should they be willing to go to get access to that market? That's the gray area. This is where it becomes a discussion, because I think most people are intelligent enough to know that, well, of course, Disney and any studio should want their products in the Chinese marketplace. It's a huge market. There's a lot of money to be made. You're a fool if you don't think so. Most people agree with that. Most people also agree you shouldn't be willing to step over the corpse of your dead mother just to do something that you want to do. So there's the two extremes. You don't do anything to acquiesce to China's demands, but you don't just ignore the Chinese marketplace at the same time. So the question is, where in between these two extremes, how far in between those two extremes should Disney be willing to go? Should they be willing to remove Chloe Zhao as the director of Eternals? Well, on the one hand, that would fix the problem for China. I think China would instantly go, okay, yep, it's cool. You take that little problem out, that little Chloe Zhao problem out, and we got a deal. Here's the problem, though. Disney's not willing to do that, nor should they be willing to do that. As a matter of fact, even if Disney wanted to do that, they wouldn't be allowed to do that because it would violate all sorts of contracts and the collective bargaining agreement with the Directors Guild of America. Chloe Zhao directed the movie. You can't remove her. It's just that simple. You can't. But I don't think Disney would be willing to either. As a matter of fact, Disney has even been going off on a lot of their talking points. We've been hearing Kevin Feige talking lately about Chloe Zhao, Chloe Zhao, Chloe Zhao, Chloe Zhao. Like, Disney's not even trying to downplay the Chloe Zhao part. They're going off shouting it. Chloe Zhao, Director of the Year, Best Picture winner. Chloe Zhao, Chloe Zhao, Chloe Zhao. Right? The only thing that Kevin Feige isn't doing is walking around with a big Chloe Zhao face on his shirt, right? But they're clearly not backing away from Chloe Zhao, and nor should they. I think we all agree they shouldn't be willing to do that. And really, as far as Eternals go, and maybe you guys agree or disagree with me on this, as far as Eternals go, I don't think there's anything that will make China happy regarding Eternals short of Chloe Zhao not being associated, or having Chloe Zhao coming out and make a statement renouncing everything she said before about China. But she ain't going to do that, and I don't think Disney's going to ask her to do that. So I think Eternals is a lost cause. I'll tell you that right now. I think Eternals is a lost cause. Because there's not even anything that Disney could do about Eternals to make the Chinese authorities happy with it. The only thing that could be done, and I don't think Disney's willing to even try to do it, is to get rid of Chloe Zhao or make her renounce her statements. And I don't think Disney's wanting to do either of those things. So that's off the table. All right, well, what about Shang-Chi? Shang-Chi could be a different situation. It could be. Because it doesn't seem like there's any individual that they're worried about on Shang-Chi, as far as I can tell. It's not like they have a big problem with Simu Liu. So, and nor should they have a problem with Simu Liu. It doesn't seem like they have a particular problem or issue with the director involved. It seems to have to do with what their perception is and what their guesses are as to how Chinese individuals and maybe Chinese culture are going to be portrayed in the film. Okay, if Eternals is a lost cause, Shang-Chi, there could be some wiggle room, right? And I think, and I know there are going to be hardliners that disagree with me, but I think if there is reasonable compromise to be made with, marginally to unimportant aspects of your movie, then you make those things. If there are things that they want you to change that fundamentally change your film, you say, no, thank you, and you walk out the door. But if there's something that can be done that doesn't really affect the integrity of your film, do it. So I think if Eternals is a lost cause, I think there is room for Shang-Chi to have like Disney reps go to China, sit down with their, with their censorship board and say, okay, here's our film. Tell us what, we stand behind our film. We're confident in it. Sit down, here it is, take a look at it, and tell us any of your concerns. And if there's any concerns that you have that we can address, we're open to discussing it. Whether it's however a certain character is portrayed or whatever, it's never bad to listen. It's never bad to listen. And then after listening, if you feel like, you know what, we could make these little changes and it wouldn't affect our film at all, but it will make them happy and it will give us access to the second largest movie market in the world. Then from a business point of view, you do it. However, if it's like, okay, they came back and they wanted us to change the villain they wanted us to green screen out the Mandarin and have the villain be Uncle Sam Sam. And it's this big American guy with a giant USA hat on his head. And it's a character we've never heard of. And it's Uncle Sam Sam. Uncle Sam American Joe is his name. And they want us to do that. Well, if it's fundamentally changing your movie, then you say, hey, you know what? Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, but we're going to keep our movie as it is. Thank you very much. The key is, see if there's some middle ground you can find that doesn't affect the integrity of your movie, but that does open up the market to you. And if it doesn't, then you turn around and you walk out the door. It's just about where is that line? Where is that line? And I'm not sure, because I'm not in those rooms. You know, I'm not in the strategy room at Disney trying to figure this thing out. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But listen, what I do know is 2 facts. And all I can tell you is that I know these 2 things for fact. Fact number 1, Disney would like Eternals and Shang-Chi to play in China. Fact number 2, they're totally fine not having it in China if it can't be done. They're totally fine and they're totally comfortable with it not playing in China if, you know, a reasonable agreement can't be made to let them play in China, which would be in everybody's best interests. But if they can't make that deal, they're perfectly fine not playing in China either. The question is going to be, and maybe we'll never know what the answers are, is where is that line? Where is that line? And I don't know. I don't think the answer is either the extremes, but then where in the middle is it? And there's 1,000 different possibilities for that. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about this whole scenario going on with Eternals and Shang-Chi? And listen, they still said there are 2 spots. Maybe those 2 spots could be for Eternals and Shang-Chi. Maybe China's just doing a little bit of saber rattling. And maybe they're ultimately going to let the movies play anyway. Maybe they're not. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? How do you think this is all going to resolve? Should it resolve at all? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down and out of the way, let's now spend the rest of our time taking your live comments and questions. And listen, if you've got a live comment or question, a thought about any of the topics we discussed here right now, jump on down into the description of the video, click on the tip link, and submit a topic or question, or enter it in manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show if it's appropriate for the show, of course. And of course, you'll be supporting this channel at the same time. Okay. Let's get on over and start seeing what you guys have to say. We start off here with K Major, who writes, "You saw it, John. We all saw it. Venom likes ketchup on eggs. Join the cool side." Of course, one of the most fundamentally disgusting things human beings have ever done to and with their own bodies is those sick, depraved individuals, you know who you are, blights on humanity, who put ketchup on your eggs. You are less than human. You deserve to be cast out into the wintry gulag. Your parents should turn their backs on you. Your children should hang their heads in shame. Ketchup on eggs. But anyway, yes, in the Venom trailer, we see it. Venom slaps some ketchup on eggs. All I can say is this, is that yes, if you are a black, gooey alien substance that also enjoys eating human flesh, then ketchup on eggs might be for you. If you are likened unto a black, gooey alien substance who also enjoys the taste of human flesh, then yes, ketchup on eggs might be for you. I swear to God, if I ever run for public office, anti-ketchup on eggs is going to be my main political platform. That I'm doing my whole campaign is going to be about that. Turn in your neighbors if you've seen them putting ketchup on your eggs, and let's get them deported. That's my one political stance. That's it. My whole political position right there. All right, next up. That and pineapple on pizza. All right, next up. Alan writes, "Hey, John, I saw an article on Variety that says Shang-Chi and Eternals were left out of China's Movies Channel upcoming release dates. For now. How important is the Chinese box office? Do you think Marvel will end up bending a bit?" Well, again, we just kind of talked about that. If there are areas to bend, that don't compromise the integrity of your movie, then do it. And I think they'd be willing to do that. I'm sure they'd be willing to bend a little bit here or there. Again, there's really nothing they can do about Eternals. Chloe Zhao directed it, and Chloe Zhao said what she said. With Shang-Chi, that maybe there's some benefit to be had there, but would it be enough? I don't know. And again, I just refer you back to our whole conversation we just had. It's a great question, Alan. It's a great question. But I would say just refer back to what I was just talking about. All right, next up. Jason writes, "Hey, John. Thanks for the many years of great content and discussion." Well, thank you for being along for the ride, Jason. I appreciate that, man. "I started following you at the movie blog when Revenge of the Sith was released and the audio edition stuff with Doug. Great times and looking forward to many more." Well, listen, I get a lot of people who talk to me who write in and say, "Hey, man, I've been watching since, the Man of Steel review at AMC," or they're like, "I've been watching since, early days of Collider," or whatever. But the real OGs, and thank you to everybody who's been watching me for any period of time, but you can always know the real OGs when they can reference the movie blog. And for those of you who don't know, I kind of got started in this whole space just by writing a blog. I put together a blog. It was so early that not a lot of people even knew what the term blog meant. And the domain name, The Movie Blog, was available. Today, if you want to start a website, you got to get like clownpenis.fart. I mean, it's tough getting a domain name today. And I just did it as a hobby. I did the movie blog as a hobby, and I did the world's first movie dedicated podcast at the time called the Movie Blog Audio Edition. And that's how you can tell the true OGs, man. So thank you, Jason. I appreciate that, man. And thanks for being around for so long. I appreciate that, dude. All right, next up. Well, we've got Tony Rodriguez writes, "I just picked up my advanced screening tickets for A Quiet Place 2. Bravo, sir. Bravo. I cannot wait to watch that. Today for May 27th. Oh, and for the guy that wanted your music, all he has to do is go to an old show that you use to take a few minute breaks, and it's the complete song, Rip the Video. And you know what? Let's give you an opportunity to do that right now." All right, so just take what I just gave you, loop it, and there you go. You got like a 3-hour version of the song right there. Thanks for writing that in, Tony. Appreciate that, man. And hey, here's hoping Quiet Place 2 delivers. I'm hearing nothing but great things about it. You guys know the first Quiet Place movie was my absolute #1 favorite film of 2018. And I have been very, very anxiously awaiting Quiet Place 2. Gonna get to see it in theaters end of this month. Very excited. Good on you, Tony, for getting those tickets. All right, next up. Willow writes, "Wow, how does someone get Star Trek mixed up with Mork and Mindy? I'm now picturing Spock saying Nanu Nanu." Okay, so here's what Willow is talking about. Let me see if I can bring this up here. Willow clearly follows me on Twitter. And you guys can also follow me on Twitter. Simply just on Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media channel you want. You see my handle right there, just at John Campea. That's where you can follow me. But anyway, so yeah, this came up the other day, and I put this on Twitter yesterday because this is a real thing that happened. Ann and I, we decided, I haven't been to a Best Buy in over a year. Going to Best Buy for me is like going to the toy store. I just love going to Best Buy and looking at things and maybe buying some stuff. And Ann wanted to go to Barnes & Noble. And so there's a shopping center right close to where Ann and I live that has a Best Buy, a Barnes & Noble, and they have a Chili's. I like Chili's, whatever. I like Chili's. So we decided to go to Chili's for dinner, and we eat in the bar side, and I overheard this conversation. And I put this up on Twitter yesterday. True story. Real conversation I just overheard at the restaurant. Now, this one woman was saying to this guy with a little bit, I swear to God, I'm not trying to be stereotypical. She had a little bit of a Southern accent. Okay. I'm just telling you the way it happened. Don't judge me. Now, is Mr. Spock the one that says Nanu, Nanu? I swear to God, this is exactly what happened. So I just sit there, try not to look over and try not to laugh too hard out loud. So of course, I got on Twitter and I said, now, is Mr. Spock the one that says Nanu, Nanu? All I could think about is the meltdown that Robert Meyer Burnett and my friend Scott Mantz would be having if they were here to hear that. Absolutely, I couldn't believe it. And the lady wasn't joking. Is Mr. Spock the one that says Nanu, Nanu. Of course, that is the great Robin Williams in Mork and Mindy. Nanu, Nanu. He always used to say, I mean, it was a little bit before my time, but I used to love watching reruns of Mork and Mindy. Anyway, thanks for writing that in, Willow. All right, next up, we've got Peter Cunnington, who writes, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead completely replaced Chris D'Elia with Tig Notaro after the allegations. They did it all with green screens. Do you think they could do something similar with Death on the Nile for Armie Hammer? I don't think so. There was a good article in Deadline they did an article basically talking about the problem that they're facing with Death on the Nile. Obviously, there have been a lot of allegations, some serious, some completely salacious, but there have been a lot of allegations and a lot of controversy surrounding Armie Hammer lately. And it kind of presents them with a problem. Like when they made Death on the Nile, none of these accusations were public. Nobody knew about it. And so they made this movie, and apparently he is like, it's a big ensemble cast, but he is pretty much the male lead of the film. And when you're in that much of the movie, just trying to pull some green screen wizardry probably isn't going to cut it. And so right now the studio is really kind of struggling with and trying to figure out, how do we handle this Armie Hammer situation? Like, what do we do about it? And so for right now, I don't think they have a definitive, release date for Death on the Nile. I don't think they've got a definitive release date, and I don't think they know what to do with it. And it's very possible that they may end up just sliding it onto HBO Max. I mean, maybe without even any fanfare, but I think he's so prominent in the movie that I don't think just green screening him out. I mean, there's some people just think green screen can do anything, and it's a lot tougher than it sounds, and it's a lot more expensive. Not to mention taking him out kind of makes it a big story as well, and then that whole cloud would be hanging over the movie. So I'm just guessing right now, but my guess is that they're going to end up very quietly just dropping Death on the Nile onto HBO Max. I don't know that. I'm not telling you that John Campea reports. No. That's just my guess right now. But we will see how this all transpires, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for that film. All right, next up. Let's see here. Melkor Zilla writes, where do we go? One of my favorite movies is World War Z. I really enjoyed World War Z. I've heard ever since the movie was released that there was going to be a sequel soon. Well, it's been 8 years and nothing yet. Do you think we will ever get one? Also, what is your favorite zombie movie? Every day that passes makes it less and less likely, I think, that we're going to get a sequel. Let me just pull something up here. World War Z. All right, so World War Z, of course, was really infamous for the fact that they shot the movie and it was pretty terrible. And they pretty much went back, invested a ton of money, and reshot like 3/4 of the film. But it's good that they did, because honestly, to me, I thought the movie turned out really good. I thought World War Z ended up being a really enjoyable film. Not like one of the best movies I've ever seen, but I thought it ended up being a pretty damn good time at the movies. But there has been so much drama. Like, there were budget issues, director problems, scheduled availability. Of course, Brad Pitt is the producer of it, but there have been issues. Look, I think there's still a chance we could get it, and I would love to see it, but every day that passes, I think, lessens the chances. So I would say right now I'm dubious that we'll ever actually get a World War Z 2. As far as my favorite zombie movie, there's not much zombie stuff I like. There are a few zombie movies that I do quite like. For the most part, I'm not a big fan of the genre. I find them all very much to be the same thing. Like everything, a zombie thing is a zombie thing, with a few exceptions. One of those exceptions that is truly a movie I absolutely love, and I'm sure most of you guys, let me see if you guys in the live chat can guess which one I'm going to say. We'll see which ones of you guys like know me well enough to know which movie I'm going to say I actually really, really do love, and it's actually my favorite zombie film. Somebody's guessing Train to Busan. Nope, but that is another exception. That's a movie I like. I like Train to Busan, zombie movie. It's not 28 Days Later. It's not Zombieland. It's not Dawn of the Dead. None of you are getting it. Dominic Alvarez gets it. Dominic gets it. Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is my favorite zombie movie of all time. It's also, especially at the time, it was also the most unique of all the zombie movies. But a couple of you guys have thrown in some that I do like. Like, I don't like a lot of zombie stuff, but Train to Busan, I really loved. Obviously, Shaun of the Dead and Warm Bodies. I really did it, again, because it was a very, very different kind of take on the zombie thing, is why I liked Warm Bodies. It's not that's the only stuff I like. There's a few, but I just find I don't get excited about zombie stuff. Although, I am going to go see Army of the Dead tonight. I am going to watch Army of the Dead tonight, and I am pretty excited about watching that. Whether or not it just turns out to be more zombie fluff, I will see, but I am very interested in seeing how this one turns out. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Next up, we've got MD, who writes, me and my hubby watch every superhero show, sci-fi show, anything in that realm, even some bad stuff. But with Jupiter's Legacy, even we were like, do we have the energy to watch this? I mean, we did, but it was the first time that we asked ourselves that. Listen, I got to tell you, Jupiter's Legacy is a disappointment on a lot of different levels. Number one, it's a disappointment just because it's a disappointing series. I mean, it's not garbage. I hear some people talking around, it's the most awful thing ever. No, it's not. It's got some good things in it. But I was disappointed in it. I thought it could have been something very, very special, and it ended up being a little bit of a chore to watch it. But it's also disappointing because it kind of breaks a streak. Because I feel like everything that's been coming out lately, whether it's The Boys or Doom Patrol or the Harley Quinn animated series, Invincible, like all this stuff, Superman and Lois, which I never thought I would like, it feels like we've had this really great hot streak of all this comic book material coming out that we've been really enjoying and has exceeded our expectations. And so Jupiter's Legacy comes along, and it's like, not only was it disappointing in and of itself, it's also very disappointing because it kind of breaks that streak. And I am with you, MD. I kind of felt that as well. It's like, I felt fatigued. Comic book fatigue? I don't know that it's comic book fatigue, but trying to get through Jupiter's Legacy, even though it had some very good things in it, I felt like it was a chore to get through. It's like, I'm finding this a bit fatiguing. So I don't know. But it was a disappointment. Again, I don't think the worst thing in the world. I don't think it was total garbage. I think there's some very good things about it. But yeah, overall it was kind of a letdown, MD. All right, next up. BB Kingpin writes, hearing about Margot Robbie wanting a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy movie, I disagree with that idea because of the animated show. I may be one of the few people that actually liked Poison Ivy and Kite Man's relationship, and about halfway through the first, I to get the feeling that they only introduced the relationship of Poison Ivy and Kite Man was as a storytelling avenue for her and Harley to get together. No, I agree. I mean, maybe not the only thing. First of all, the relationship between Poison Ivy and Kite Man. I love Kite Man in the Harley Quinn series. Hell yeah. I love Kite Man. Kite Man is great. He's entertaining. He's fun. He's a likable character. And one of the reasons I really, really loved that triangle, Harley, Poison Ivy, and Kite Man, one of the reasons I loved it so much is because what is the stereotype in all movies and TV shows? When the hero is in love with a girl, but the girl is already with somebody, that somebody is always an asshole, right? Think about it. Like, I don't know, let me pull a movie out of my ass. Karate Kid. Oh, Daniel likes the girl, but the girl's already got a boyfriend. well, who's the boyfriend? Johnny, and Johnny's an asshole, right? It always happens. Whenever the hero of the movie is in love with the love interest, but the love interest is already with somebody, that somebody always ends up being a total dick or douche or asshole or jerk or whatever. I really loved that in Harley Quinn, one of the complications of that developing relationship between the two of them was the fact that Ivy was in a relationship with a legitimately good man. And that complicated things, because otherwise it's easy. Dump, in the words of Vanilla Ice, dump the zero and get with the hero, right? Dump the zero and get with the hero, as Vanilla Ice would say. It makes it easy. It's clean. It's simple. But in Harley Quinn, they made it difficult and they made it hard. And yeah, I really love that. So I liked Kite Man a lot. I liked the very charming relationship between Poison Ivy and Kite Man. I loved the problems and the complications that came from that being a good relationship with her original relationship with Harley Quinn. And it gave it also a bit of a moral dilemma in her making the decision that her heart really belonged to Harley. I thought that all was great. I think it made Kite Man great. I think it made Ivy great. I think it made Harley great. I think it's just made for great television to watch. So I see what you're saying. I do, but I actually think that all made it even more enjoyable. And don't worry about Kite Man. He'll come flying across. See what I did there? He'll come flying across just fine in the rest of the series. All right, let's move on now. Next up. Carolina 29593 writes, good morning, gangbangers. Of course. Kiss, kiss, gang bang. I'll never be able to live that down. Was wondering if Rob's there, Rob's not here, obviously, on Thursdays, had an opinion about the TV series, The Rifleman. It's too bad Rob's not here because I know he knows this show. I am not. I've never watched the show myself, but Rob has. The TV show The Rifleman, every time Lucas McCain stood tall and did something heroic, all I can think of you is your grr man moments on the screen. Yeah, I've never watched Rifleman. Was Sean Bean in that? I can't remember. Maybe I'm thinking about something totally else, but was Sean Bean in The Rifleman? I thought Sean Bean was in that. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. You guys let me know in the comment section, but I know Rob has talked about this series. I know he's talked about that, and I know he's liked it. I know Yellow Flash is actually asking the more important question. Did Sean Bean die in The Rifleman? Yeah, was he even in it? I'm not sure. But I know Rob likes it, and I know Rob's talked about it. But I myself, not familiar with it, haven't seen it. Sorry about that, Carolina. But I'm sure there are a lot of other people watching who know the show you're talking about and will be able to relate with what you're talking about. Probably we'll just jump in the comments. I'm sure people will make some references there. Thanks, Carolina. Next up, Chris writes, hey, John, love all that you do. Thank you so much, Chris. Did hear that Adult Swim has 3 movies in the works for Aqua Teen Hunger Force, The Venture Brothers, and Metalocalypse. The later being directed by the king of the sweaties, John Schnepp. What are your thoughts? Thanks. Yeah, of course. So John Schnepp, that was kind of his claim to fame, that, you know, he directed Metalocalypse. He also did stuff on The Venture Brothers. I know that. I can't remember what exactly he did on The Venture Brothers. I even think he did some editing on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. At any rate, yeah, I saw the news, but was then kind of disappointed. So for those of you who missed this, a story came out that they are producing movies for The Venture Brothers, Metalocalypse, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I particularly love Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I've always loved Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And the Mooninites, I love them too. Anyway, but then I read that they're really straight to video on demand. They're straight to DVD and Blu-ray and rental, and then they'll kind of be put on HBO Max after they've done the DVD and Blu-ray and VOD thing. And so I got kind of excited when I first saw the headline, because I thought, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to go to a movie theater and watch Metalocalypse or watch, you know, an Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie? And it's not even a big Netflix or a big HBO Max release. It's like they're making them pretty cheaply. They're going to be straight to DVD at first, and then they're going on. So I'm not going to lie to you, man. That made me kind of instantly lose interest. Now, don't get me wrong. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I'll watch Frylock and Master Shake and Meatwad. I'll watch those guys doing whatever. So I'll probably still check it out. But it kind of took a lot of the way. It's like, oh, okay, so it's just a quick little cheap thing they're doing. That was my first reaction. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that was my first reaction to it. All right, thanks, Chris. Next up, we've got an anonymous viewer writes, greetings. Sean Connery portrayed the Green Knight in 1984. So, you know what? I had somebody else write me that and say, I didn't realize, I did not know this. Sean Connery portrayed the Green Knight in 1984's Sword of the Valiant with Miles O'Keefe as Sir Gawain. Now, of course, this is referring to the upcoming movie, The Green Knight, that Dev Patel and Joel Edgerton and Alicia Vikander are starring in. The new trailer for that dropped the other day. It looks great. The story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is great mythology, but I was not aware of that film, and I had somebody else write in the other day and say, hey, John, by the way, did you know? And I did not. I did not know. That's the great thing about the community. I'm always learning new things, so thanks for sending that in, Anonymous. Appreciate that. Next up, Miguel Zayan writes, hey, John, hope you're doing well. I am doing exceptionally well, thank you. Some films that I rewatched. Life of Pi, really good film. Speaking of Dev Patel. Actually, was that Dev Patel in Life of Pi? Oh, sorry, I don't want to speak out of turn. I thought it was. I mean, obviously, Slumdog Millionaire. But who was it in Life of Pi? You know, I got it itching that it wasn't him. Hold a second. Life of Pi. There we go. I know Irfan Khan was in it. But who was the kid? Oh, no, that wasn't Dev Patel at all. Well, what was I thinking? Yeah. I just remembered Irfan Khan. I just thought, okay, I'm glad I looked that up before I just started talking about Dev Patel being in Life of Pi. Anyway, great movie. Of course, it was surrounded by a lot of controversy because the visual effects company that busted their asses making it and they won Academy Awards for it then had to go out of business because of the working conditions. Anyway, a lot of stuff about that. Anyway, Life of Pi and Green Book. I loved Green Book. Mahershala Ali. Yeah, that movie's great. Anyway, hi, John. Hope you're doing well. Some films that I rewatched, Life of Pi and Green Book. I love Life of Pi. I didn't see it in theaters when it came out, only on cable. It holds up after almost a decade. Thoughts on it? Green Book is very good. Thoughts? Thanks a lot. Well, yeah, I loved Life of Pi. Loved Green Book. Loved Green Book. Viggo Mortensen, Mahershala Ali. It was my pick to win Best Picture. It won a whole ton of Best Picture awards leading up to the Oscars, and then it won the Oscar for Best Picture. And I'll never forget this. Like when Green Book won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, a bunch of people acted surprised. I remember we talked about this on my show. People were like, what? Green Book won? It's like it was winning all sorts of the other awards leading up to the Academies. It was one of the front runners. Yeah, it won, and it totally deserved to win. I'm not that there weren't other deserving winners too. I'm just saying that it's a fan-effing-tastic movie, and it winning Best Picture was my pick. I mean, that was, yeah, I thought that's the one that should have won, and it won. And it was pretty predictable that it was going to win if you looked at the entire award season leading up to the Academy Awards, and then a bunch of people acted surprised, and it's like, meh. And it's just a magnificent effing movie. You know, what does Rob often say? Look for great characters with great dialogue and a great story. That's Green Book. With phenomenal Academy level performances for Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali as well. And a great story. You learn a lot from it as well, just about the American context at the time. Brilliant effing movie. Love both those films. Anyway, next up. Let's see here. Mr. Farts writes, after seeing Dumb and Dumber, I can no longer hear I Knew She Would Make Me Happy without cracking up. Is there a song that you can no longer ever hear the same after seeing it in a particular context in a movie? Yeah, that comes up every once in a while. A really good, well-placed song in a movie. It can just make or break a scene, but it can also ruin that song for you. Now, granted, the Bryan Adams classic, Everything I Do It For You, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually written for the Robin Hood movie that Kevin Costner did. But of course, whenever I hear that song, all I think about is Robin Hood. The other one for me, and this is a more recent one, Stuck in the Middle, Reservoir Dogs. Stuck in the middle with you. Like, you can't hear that song now and not think of Reservoir Dogs, right? Like you can't, your mind cannot separate one from the other, right? The other one though, which is a more recent one, but is Immigrant Song in Thor Ragnarok, right? It's always been an amazing song, of course. But once you see it done to Thor, and Thor, that's all I ever hear. It's all I ever hear now. And whenever I hear Immigrant Song, I expect to open my eyes and see images of Thor Ragnarok. So those are a couple that kind of jump out to me. Anyway, next up, we've got we did Miguel, we did Ms. Fards now. Preston the Kryptonian writes, "Hey John, I wanted to empathize with you on your pain of having to watch previews after the listed showtime of a movie. When I went to see Mortal Kombat on opening weekend, I timed how long the previews were, and I kid you not, they clocked in at 27 minutes. Listen, the joking aside, I have said this before, but I will say it again. If you want to attract more people coming to the theaters, you have to, if you're the theater industry, like you're not responsible for making the movies. You have nothing to do with how good or bad the movies are. But if you're the theatrical industry, you've got to do everything you can do to make the movie going experience better. And I'm fucking sorry, but sitting through a half hour of commercials is not how you make the movie going experience better. F you. All right? I like trailers as much as anybody. I spent a year of my life making an entire documentary about trailers. I love trailers. But when you say, come see, I don't know, what's coming out, For Those Who Wish Me Dead. I'm going to go see that this weekend. The Taylor Sheridan movie with Angelina Jolie. I'm going to go see that this weekend. Very excited about it. But you tell me, come see For Those Who Wish Me Dead at 7 p.m. Don't effing start the movie at 7:30. I paid fucking money to be in that theater to watch what you said was a 7 p.m. showtime. And I paid you to be in there, and you're showing me a half hour of commercials. I used to love, they just closed the ArcLight Theater. They just closed the ArcLight in Los Angeles, which sucks because it was a great movie-going experience. But the ArcLight had a very hard rule. 3 trailers, movie starts. 3 trailers, movie starts. And it's perfect because you go into the theater, you sit down, you get a couple of really good trailers, and then boom, the movie that you paid to go and see begins. This 25, 27, 30 minutes of trailer BS has to stop. You are souring people's movie-going experience before the damn movie even starts. Wake the F up. If you're in the movie theater industry, your job is to make people's movie-going experiences as pleasant and as fun and as memorable as you possibly can. You can't control if the movies are good or not, but you got to give people a good experience. And when you start off the experience with, wow, this is, we're going into our 22nd minute of commercials, 22nd minute of trailers, and there's still 4 more trailers to come. Then you are not making it difficult for somebody to say, well, I'm just going to stay home and watch Netflix next time. I'm just going to stay home and watch Netflix next time. I've been harping on this for years, and now that the movie theaters are coming back, and I want the movie theaters back, it's time to start harping on this again till these idiots, these morons who run things like AMC and whatever, wake up and start realizing you're starting people's movie-going experience with a bad experience. Yay, we got here to the movies. Okay, we're sit down in our seats, and what's the first thing that happens? You're making us watch 25 minutes of trailers. And a movie you said started at 7 doesn't actually start till 7:30. I don't know. It's a big thing to me. It really does bother me. It's something I think they need to fix, Preston. Okay, next up. We've got Bob from Buttville writes, Do you remember the Human Centipede? How can anybody forget the Human Centipede? And would you agree that film was too effed up, even for modern horror standards? Oh, dude, I've seen worse. Oh, believe me, I've seen worse, especially in indie horror. The Human Centipede just happened to get attention. It just happened to get attention, so everybody's familiar with the Human Centipede. But believe me when I tell you, my film-loving brother, that I have seen worse in smaller independent horror film. I really have. But yeah, it's pretty effed up. It's pretty effed up, Bob. No doubt about it. All right, Starbutt writes, I'm sensing a theme here. Having met many celebrities, have you ever had an unpleasant interaction with an actor, director, etc., that was so bad it made you not able to enjoy their work? Yes. Hardly ever. Hardly ever. And in reality, a bad experience that was so bad, it made it difficult for me to actually enjoy. Like, I've had bad experiences with some celebrities, whatever. Everybody has a bad day. Everybody has a bad day. Celebrities are not exempt from that. You know, you could catch a celebrity on maybe the worst day they've had all year. Maybe they come across harsh. But if you saw them any other day of the year, maybe they would have been great. There was only really one time that I had an experience, actually a couple of experiences, with a particular actor that was so bad, I just don't care for their movies anymore. And I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to say who it is. Because I'm not one of these TMZ gossip, hate spreading things. But yeah. There's only one I can think of that it's actually affected the way I can actually even see their films. But I'm not going to say who. But thankfully, when you consider all the celebrities that I've met and all the directors and all the actors and all the writers, the fact that it's really only been that bad once is actually pretty good. That's actually not bad. All right. Next up. Joel C81 writes, good day, John. Lots of talk about A Knight's Tale lately, because it's just had its 20th anniversary this week. But no mention of Alan Tudyk. Yeah, Alan Tudyk was in that as well. He was really good in that. He is fantastic in everything he touches, especially his latest show, a dark comedy series called Resident Alien. Have you checked it out? Well, I'm going to assume you don't watch my show all the time, Joel, because I talk about Resident Evil. I've talked about that several times. I love Resident Alien. Did I just say Resident Evil? Anyway, Resident Alien. I love Resident Alien. Love that show. And that role, I mean, Alan Tudyk was born to play that role. He's so great in it. But I'll tell you what, with everything that he's been in, whether it's Serenity and Firefly, whether it's A Knight's Tale, whether it's, Alien, Resident Alien, which I love and you guys should absolutely watch. The best thing I've ever seen him do was in this one season only lasted show on NBC called Powerless. Let me see if I can find this. I'm going to see if I can find it. I'm not sure that I can. Oh my gosh, it's right. Look at that. I pulled it up and it's all right here. So Powerless was this show on NBC. And what happened was, and nobody watched it. And I'll tell you what, I thought this show was really fun. I thought this show was really, really enjoyable. But basically what the idea of Powerless was, is that it takes place in the DC universe, not in the DCEU per se, but the world of Powerless was a world that all the DC superheroes were running around in, right? And they worked at the rival company to Star Labs. So all of our main characters, none of them have superpowers, all right? And they all work at this rival company, this rival inventions company to Star Labs. So they created these inventions and gadgets that superheroes could use and that the public could use to protect themselves from supervillains and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, Alan Tudyk played Bruce Wayne's idiot little cousin, Van Wayne. V-A-N, Van Wayne. So he played Bruce Wayne's idiot younger cousin, Van Wayne, who was in charge of this company. And he is so good in it. He is so good in it. Actually, the whole cast was great, to be honest with you. And if you look at this cast. This was a great cast, and they were all good, and they were all funny, and I really liked it. And our main character, there's even one episode called Henchman, where it turns out the guy she started dating was one of the nameless henchmen for the Riddler. It's like, oh, I just found out he's a henchman, and the whole thing about it's really clever, and it made some really cool, clever observations about the superhero genre as a whole. I thought it was quite funny, but it only very, very few people did like it. And the show disappeared after one season. But whenever I think of Alan Tudyk, I got to admit, I think of him as Van Wayne, Bruce Wayne's idiot cousin. You should check it out. Anyway, next up. Cam K writes, I love season 1 of Invincible. It was incredible. But I do have 2 questions I can't seem to shake. Number 1. Why wouldn't a Mauler twin just mark himself with a Sharpie before cloning himself? They actually addressed that in the show. I can't remember exactly what they said, but if you remember, they actually specifically said that it can cause a mental problem if one of them actually knew they were the clone. Again, you'd have to go back and watch it again. It was back when Robot was becoming also getting a new living body. And they had this conversation about one being aware of which the other was. And so they actually do give a reason for that in Invincible. Anyway, 2, why didn't Omni-Man fly into space to remove blood from the episode 1 fight? I have no idea. I don't know about how the physics of outer space work. Whole second time for me to pull out new Zevia. Zevia Cola, sponsor me, you cheap sons of bitches. Anyway, I don't know how the physics of outer space work and why flying dirty clothes into space would make them clean. So I'm not really clear on that, but that's just me. Or why didn't he just throw the blood-stained stuff into outer space? That I don't know. All right, good question though. But as far as the first question goes, Cam, they do address it in the show itself. All right, great Grabthar's Hammer writes, speaking of Eddie the Eagle, which I love that movie. The other day, speaking of Eddie the Eagle the other day, I'd recommend people out there to do a double feature with Cool Runnings, as both take place at the 1988 Calgary Olympics. It's true, they both do. And thanks to your recommendation, I will always spread love for the Queen of Kotway. Queen of Kotway, guys, you know what? Let me just take this opportunity to bring this up, because I mention Queen of Kotway all the time, but most people have never heard of it. And there it is. Most people have never heard of it and certainly never seen it. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, and it is simply one of the most fabulous movies I've seen in the last number of years. It's one of these movies that reminds you about why you love the movies. And there's no villain. I believe that's David Oyelowo who's in it as well. There's no villain. It's a movie about good people doing good things, and it's magic. And it captures your heart. It's about this young girl. I believe it's a true story. I think it's based on a true story. Anyway, this young girl who becomes like a world chess champion. And it's moving and touching and amazing, and I absolutely love it. Anyway, Eddie the Eagle, Hugh Jackman, Cool Runnings, of course. Lines, signs. Anyway, yeah, that would be a really good double feature. You're right, great Grabthar's Hammer. Those 2 movies would make a great double feature. I'll have to check that out. Okay, next up. Michael H. Jones writes, John, I was watching you and Robert talk about Margot Robbie wanting a Harley Quinn Poison Ivy movie. Yep. Don't you think maybe Warner Brothers is hesitating because Birds of Prey box office was not very good? No. Because if they were concerned about that, look, people love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, right? All you have to do, look at the pop cultural footprint that she's had, right? Like, let me just pull something up here. Harley Quinn. So all you have to do is walk around a little bit at Comic-Con, at Halloween, at whatever. Everybody loves Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. It is like the most cosplayed thing in years, right? Like the absolute most cosplayed thing in years. Like people love her as this character, whatever. The movie, the Birds of Prey movie was very bad. Some people liked it, and that's great. It's all subjective. If you like that movie, awesome. I celebrate that. I wish I did. I'm jealous. But I thought the movie was really awesome. It was really awful, I should say. But I think Warner Brothers knows the problem wasn't Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. If that were the case, they wouldn't have Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in the new Suicide Squad movie, right? They would have just taken her out and put something else in if they thought she was the problem. I think they know she's not the problem. They know that's not the issue. So, and they want to do more with her. They're going to do more with her. So, no, I don't think, I mean, I could totally understand you asking the question, Michael, but I think we're going to see after Suicide Squad that, you know, there's going to be this huge pro push again for more Harley Quinn if James Gunn does his job, and James Gunn always does his job. So we'll see how that goes. So I can totally understand you asking, but I really don't think that's an issue. I really don't. And by the way, Michael Jones tipped in like $20. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, man. I really appreciate that, dude. All right, next up, we've got Chewylicious writes. I love that name. Speaking of 20th anniversaries of movies, this year marks the anniversary of the much underappreciated Jim Carrey film, The Majestic, release date December 21st, 2001. I was curious if you ever saw that film and what your thoughts were on it. Thanks for all that you do. Yes. Here's the thing about Majestic to me. The Majestic, and let me bring up some of the other things here. The Majestic felt to me, I remember talking to a friend of mine who went to go see it with me. It felt to me like a movie that was desperate to get Jim Carrey an Oscar. But I always felt like it was poorly done. I actually never thought it was all that good. Martin Landau was really good in it. But you know, it's Martin Landau. But I'll be honest with you, I always thought that I personally never liked The Majestic all that much. I think it was trying very hard, almost pretentiously so, to be something that it just wasn't inherently. Nothing against any of the people who were in it. But yeah, I just didn't like it as much. But anyway, I know some people that did like it though, including you. So, hey man, if that's a special movie to you, that's great. But yeah, I got to say it never really worked for me. And I think me and some buddies of mine like rented, you know, on one of those, you know, rent 3 movies for the price of 1 on Tuesdays at Blockbuster sort of thing. I think we might have rented it and watched it again, but yeah, I think those are the only 2 times I ever watched it. I saw it once in theaters, then I saw it like once on DVD, and that was kind of it. And that was it. Anyway, thanks for that, Chewylicious. Next up, Jonas Diaz writes, where did he write? There he is. I remember an article quote, MB from The Verge, not sure, about which streaming services people are likely to get with a 4 musical chairs analogy. Netflix and Disney Plus have the first 2. HBO Max may get the 3rd, but what about the rest of them right now? Amazon Prime. Probably Amazon Prime. But listen, there are more and more streaming services coming. You know, Peacock is actually turning into something pretty good. I still hate the name. Paramount Plus, they're getting serious. They're going to make some big moves in the rest of 2021. That's becoming a serious player. There are going to be others as well. But right now, yeah, the game of musical chairs. Oh, and by the way, Apple TV Plus, I should say. They've already got some good things. They are going to double down every year. I am telling you, 5 years from now, they're going to be one of the top 1 or 2 streaming services probably. Just because they have all the money in the world. Apple could buy and sell Netflix and Disney 5 times over. That's how much money Apple has. And they have already made it clear they are very serious about Apple TV Plus. You don't put up $200 million so Marty Scorsese can make a Killers of the Flower Moon if you're not deadly serious about your future as a streaming platform. So Apple's going to be a big one. But as of right now today, if there was a big game of musical chairs and only 4 of those streaming services could have seats, I would say I would agree with the Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. but I also believe Amazon Prime would be up there too. Number one, they just have so much good stuff. They've got the Lord of the Rings series coming. They already put out some of the best shows that are out there. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, The Boys, two of the best shows in the world right now. So yeah, I'd say that one would probably be the fourth one. All right. Next up. Thanks for that, Jonas. Jalen Pryor writes, "Hey, John. I would say it's been a while, but since you know I'm Iconic Reactions," oh, I didn't know that. Iconic Reactions, then you know I'm always watching. Well, last time I sent something in, you said I should get some help with my mental health, and I did. I stopped smoking weed as well. I feel great. Okay, yes. We weren't joking around. We were being serious. I remember that. First of all, good on you. Good on you. It takes, because that's a double thing of guts right there. It takes guts, number one, to admit that, because listen, especially as a man, I don't know why women just seem to have a better grip on this than men do. And look, I say that as a non-professional, but women seem to have a better grip on this and understanding that it is not weakness to say you need help with something. Men, I find we have it's almost like an admission of weakness if we say, hey, we are struggling with something. And so number one, it takes huge guts to step forward and say that, hey, listen, I'm struggling with something. I need help with something. All this kind of stuff. Number two, it also takes guts to then get off your ass and actively go and do something to get help. It is not weakness to say you need help. You know, I had pain in my leg. I was having a hard time walking. And it's like, I could just gut it out. I'm not going to be a baby and go to the doctor. Well, I went to the doctor. It's a damn good thing I did because I had deep vein thrombosis. I had a DVT in my leg. That if I didn't get it looked at, could have gotten worse, and it could have gone to my lungs or my heart. I could have had an embolism. I mean, anything could have happened. Bad things could have happened. And when it comes to mental health, men struggle even more as if that's some kind of sign of weakness. It wasn't weakness that I went to the hospital to get my leg checked out. That was me wanting to stay strong. It's not weakness to want to get help when we're struggling with things mentally. That's you doing something to stay strong. And I think that's great that you did that. So congrats on you, man. And thanks for sharing that. That makes me feel good, dudes. I'm really glad you did that. All right. Okay, next up. Where are we? Jalen also writes, so thank you, seriously. Thank you, man. Anyway, I recently watched Invincible, and oh my God, I love it. It's great. And you're right. The last episode was action, but with purpose, not just visual noise. Right after I rewatched Lucifer, and damn, I am hyped for the 28th. By the way, how the actual hell is the girl who plays Detective Lopez 42? She's not 42. I told my girlfriend that if there's a celebrity that I would want as a hall pass, it's her, and she ain't even mad at it. Hope your day gets better. And if I tip $20 for pizza, would you be happy? Oh, of course I'd be happy with that. Hold a second. No way she's 42. No way she's 42. Hold a second. Hold on a second. Because she was also, remember, the girl who plays Lopez on, if I'm thinking of this right, I'll find out if I'm wrong in a second. The girl who plays Lopez on Lucifer is the same girl who played Angel's little sister in Dexter. You remember that? Let me see if I can find her. Amy Garcia is her name. Amy Garcia. Let me just bring her up here for a second. Amy Garcia. She played Angel. There it is right there, Dexter. She played Angel's little sister. And she was the babysitter for Dexter's kids in that. She was born in 1978? Are you effing kidding me? She looks like she's 25. Like, maybe not in this picture, but in the show, she looks like she's 25 freaking years old. Hold on a second. No. I'm having a mental disconnect. I'm having a bit of a mental disconnect. This isn't, no, wait, what? 42? No. I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, look, okay, maybe not 24. Maybe not 24. Maybe like 31 or 32. She's 42 years old. By the way, Rob Lau sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. What? 42. Oh my God. So how old was she when she was Dexter's babysitter and she's supposed to be like 17 years old? Was she like 35 in that? I don't know. God, that is crazy. That is crazy. Anyway, I never would have believed it, man. I never would have believed it. Thanks for sending that in. I never would have believed it. You just told me, and I still have a hard time believing it. Anyway, okay. Next up, Jalen also writes, okay, John, you have two choices. Option one, you have John Wick hunting you for 24 hours, but you get a 4-hour head start before the time starts. Or you have pissed off, let me see. So you get 4-hour head start on John Wick before the time starts. Or you have pissed off a hungry 100% and going after you for 24 hours with only a 1-hour head start. Which do you pick? That's easy. John, I pick John Wick after me. There's no getting away from man. There's no getting away from man. 105 pounds of Filipino fury. You don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. Not to mention, like, John Wick has but one power over me. Like, I'll get in the car, hit the gas, and just go for 4 hours. And after I get that lead, he'll never get me in 24. But Ann has more. See, John Wick's got the power of a gun. Ann has way more than that. Ann has absolute power over me. She could just yell at me, "Stop right there!" And I'd be helpless. I would probably stop. So yes, I would rather have John Wick hunting me than have Ann thoroughly pissed off at me. That's just not a place you want to be, gentlemen. Take my word for it. It's not a place you want to be. All right, Ismail Montoya writes, "Hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, man. There's nothing like watching the John Campea Show in the morning while eating scrambled eggs with ketchup and a slice of Canadian bacon and pineapple. Keep on the filthy." Listen, man, be grateful, Ishmael, that the internet's anonymous, because I'd be calling the authorities and have you shipped to some Russian gulag with all the other perverts. Your perversion against nature itself, putting ketchup on eggs. Disgusting. I'm not kidding, guys. Seriously. Whenever I see, like, if I'm live, and not a picture of it, but whenever I'm in a place and I see somebody putting ketchup on eggs, I'm like, like, I feel my gag reflex going. It's so repulsive to me. It's so repulsive. All right, next up, John J. writes, as somebody who's done some study of Chinese state media, I think it is a somewhat more Western concept to think that these movies will be censored because of Chinese culture. While this may contribute, it is much more about keeping the status quo. That I don't disagree with that, John J., but that in and of itself is censorship, right? That is what you've described, like it's more about it, about keeping the status quo. That is in and of itself censorship. The motivation for the censorship doesn't change the fact that it is censorship. And so I see what you're saying, and you would probably have a little bit of a better understanding of it than I would, being somebody who's done some study of Chinese state media. That obviously gives you a leg up on me. But even it being whatever it's about, it is still censorship. So I agree, but I disagree all at the same time. But thanks for throwing your perspective on there, a more educated perspective on it than mine, obviously. So thanks for sharing your perspective on that. All right, next up, James Argento writes, with Loki and possibly other Disney Plus shows moving to Wednesday, will the after shows be on Wednesday or stay on Friday? Also, do you believe the fan theory Tom will play multiple versions of Loki from alternate timelines on the show? Well, there is a good possibility of that, because in the latest trailer of Loki, they referred to the Loki as this variant, right? Which suggests, or at least implies, that there are other variants. No, I think the spoiler discussion will be Wednesday evenings. So that means, because if it comes out on Wednesdays, that means it will air Tuesday at midnight for me. So what we used to do is when the show would air Thursday at midnight, we would do the after show the following day's evening. So Friday evening. Since it's coming out Tuesday at midnight, we will do the after show for the open spoiler discussion of it on Wednesday evening. So just the same way we used to do it for WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we'll do it that way for Loki as well. Good question. Thanks for asking, James. And I'm so looking forward to it. All right, next up. Ben Rayner. There we are. Ben Rayner writes, "Hey, John, they just dropped the announcement teaser for the Friends reunion thing. It's not much, but it got me excited and gave me goosebumps. Streaming on May 27th. Just thought you would like to check it out the teaser." I will. We were just talking about that yesterday. It's like, when are they going to get this thing? They talked about doing we were just talking about that the other day. I was not expecting that they'd drop a teaser for today. I will go and check that out. If it's worth talking about, we will bring it up on the show tomorrow. All right, thanks for giving me a heads up on that, Ben. I'll go look for that as soon as today's show's over. All right, and final question of the day comes to from Butt F3000, who writes, "Hey, John, I saw an E.T. first look at Snake Eyes recently. I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard it's out there. Do you think this means we could be getting a trailer within the next few weeks? Also, ketchup on eggs is as bad as mayonnaise on anything. You know both are true. Mayonnaise on everything is glorious." I'm not kidding. I put mayonnaise on my hamburgers, on my sandwiches, on my hot dogs. I'll put it on everything. I mean, any sandwich-related thing, I will put mayonnaise on. Anything that's got bread on it, I want it with mayonnaise. Like, I don't take a steak and slather mayonnaise on steak. Nothing like that. But I will put mayonnaise on my sandwiches, my burgers, my hot dogs, whatever. I will put mayo on that sucker. I love mayo. It's a very Canadian thing of me, but I will put mayo on that sucker. And yes, I do think we're probably going to be getting a good first look at Snake Eyes here pretty quick. I'm looking forward to it, and that'll be great. All right, Holy Cow just slipped in one more quick one here, and then we were all caught up and we were done for the day. Holy Cow writes, "I got to meet Amy Garcia back in 2019. She was just as stunning in person." She's beautiful, man. She's absolutely beautiful. And if she's 42, that is like beyond crazy. Again, it makes me wonder, how old was she when she was playing this 16-year-old babysitter on Dexter? Like, was she in her early 30s when that was going on? That is absolutely, again, like absolutely crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Special thank you to all you guys who sent in those live tip questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us who are involved with the John Campea YouTube channel, thank you guys very, very much for that support. And don't forget, you don't only have to wait until the show starts to send in those things. You can send them in 24/7, so they'll be first up on the next day's show. You can go anytime to streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tips. So thank you guys so much for that support. Okay, guys, remember, do the four main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and take care of the people around you. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett will be back again tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you guys there. We already got some things lined up to talk about for tomorrow, including, this whole thing about Friends. Catherine Hahn, for those of you who might have missed it, just was cast for Knives Out 2. We'll talk about that tomorrow. That and a whole bunch more. I should also be talking about Army of the Dead. I should be giving you my Army of the Dead review tomorrow as well. That and a whole bunch of other things. Hopefully you guys will come back and join us then. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.